Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. McCoy, and it's time for the talk. I have the green background behind me. I'm a couple of minutes behind because Facebook would not let me go live immediately. So I don't know, what the problem was, but I am here now. And I know that you all are coming in. So good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, I'm going to do the talk on this evening. Anytime you see the green background, that's what's going on. So I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're joining a little later after Thursday at 7 p.m., that's okay. And thank you also for joining on YouTube and even our conference call line. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is going to be our last gathering for 2023. Isn't that something? So I wanted to talk on this evening about those things that we cannot leave in 2023. Oftentimes, I don't know about you, but when it's a new year, I hear people or read about people saying, I'm going to leave this behind in 2020 or whatever year it is, 19, whatever. I've seen that a lot. I hear that a lot. And life has taught me that we can't leave everything. Everything cannot be left. So in that spirit, I have candles lit behind me because I first want to focus on the fact that there are things that we really can't be united with. There are things that we cannot recover. And that will be the reality that we cannot leave in 2023. The things that we cannot recover. We have some losses, things that cannot be replaced. And as you know, a loss is a loss, whatever it is. And if you have experienced loss in 2023, then you know that you're going to have to live with that loss even in a new year. So if you're one of those type of people, I'm really talking to you. You already know that everything can't be left in another year because you're going to have to live with the fact that you lost some things. So then the first thing I want to talk about are really some things that aren't coming back. There are some things that are not coming back. Like, for example, trust. Anybody ever thought about that? Trust, somebody said that trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Well, the fact of the matter is some people are not going to take forever to try to repair trust because they feel like they don't have forever. I mean, I know I don't have forever, but some people are like, I can't leave that in 2023 because there's just trust issues. I mean, and I don't have forever to repair that. So I light the candle. There's the candle behind me. I light the candle for the fact that some people lost trust in 2023. So the candle is here for you. Some loss, as we think about the candles that I've lit on this evening, has to do with hope. Some people lost hope in 2023. Doesn't mean that it can't come back, but right now I'm talking about lamenting over some things that you lost in 2023, and you have to take that reality with you into 2024. That's what I'm talking about right now. So hope. Somebody said that hope is the greatest thing that anyone can lose. And if you lose hope, you lose everything. And so there are some people where at midnight, 12 midnight, January 1, they will still be hopeless. And they're going to have to work with that reality. And I'm going to talk about, managing life, coping with life. Because right now I'm just naming some losses that are very real to some people. And you may not be one of those people, but there are some people who have to take their losses into a new year. They can't say, I'm leaving this in 2023. Okay? So relationships. I light the candle. There's the candle. Those candles are lit for you because you are mourning the loss of a relationship. And very seldom do people talk about the fact that they could be grieving the loss of a person who is still alive. Some people, for example, maybe they went through a divorce. That person is not dead, but you feel like it was a death, right? Yeah. And some of those relationships won't be reestablished. So guess what that means? You're taking that reality into 2024. Again, you can't leave everything in 2023. I light the candle because some people lost opportunities in 2020. Yeah, 2020. And some of those opportunities are simply not coming back. It's not coming back. So we won't always get another chance. We serve a God, if you're a believer, if you follow Jesus Christ, we serve the God of another chance. But this world is not always about giving you another opportunity. So we won't always get another opportunity or another chance at an opportunity that was offered. So you have to live with that. You don't get to leave that fact and that reality in 2023. And even when opportunity knocks, it's our responsibility to get up off the seat and open the door. But some of us did not get up off the seat and open the door. So I light the candle for you for that missed opportunity. And in 2023, you can't leave opportunity in 2023 because you have to ask yourself, when the new year comes in, am I going to get up off the seat of life and answer the knock at the door? You can't leave that fact that you didn't get up off the seat in 2023. You got to take that with you so you won't do that again in 2024. But again, I light the candles for that missed opportunity. So the candle is also lit for time. You can't recover time. I always say you can make more money, but you can't make more time. So I light the candle for the time that has been lost. You can't take more time into 2024. You wasted some time this year, didn't you? Yeah. You have to take that reality. So again, I'm talking about what about those things you can't leave in 2023? I'm just giving examples. The death of a loved one. Can't leave that, right? That person is gone and they're not coming back. So I light the candle for you, as we consider that you have to take that reality into a new year. What about that job? Some people are mourning the loss of a job. Maybe that job closed down. Maybe it relocated to another city, to another town, to another country. It's gone. And it's not coming back because it's a new year. You can't leave that fact in 2023. It's gone and it's not coming back. What about your health? What about your mobility? Oftentimes, we don't talk about people who experience the loss of limbs. When I was a hospital chaplain, there was a young man who lost his arm, and so he had to learn how to live his life without the arm that he was used to. Now there's prosthetics and things like that, but he had to accept the reality that he was not taking the arm that he knew into a new year because it was gone. So what about that? So the candles are really lit tonight for loss. I talked about those different types of losses because sometimes people only give you, compassion or sympathy if you lost like a loved one. But how many people know that there are so many things that we may have lost in 2023 that we have to take into 2024? And what I'm talking about is the reality of that loss. So many things are not coming back. So some people may say, well, Dr. McCoy, why are you being so negative? I don't think I want to stay on here this evening because this is mighty negative. Well, I'm the one who walked us through Lamentations, and I did not rush through it. That's an entire book of the Bible that sometimes people just skip because it's too sad. And we don't like to sit in sadness. We don't like to sit in disappointment. We don't even like to sit in the fact that, again, just because it's a new year coming, everything's going to be brand new. No, some old things are going to be with you. So what I'm doing is not trying to be negative, but to respect the reality of the parts of your life that sometimes you cannot talk about because it is uncomfortable. And it does sound like you're being negative. Well, I'm lighting the candle for that. So then people say, leaving behind whatever, I'm leaving it behind. I'm leaving it in 2023. Well, what I want us to do is to consider this idea of stopping or just stop idolizing that phrase, leave behind. It's almost like a little God. Every year, it's the focus. We're going to leave behind. We idolize it. I'm not saying that we can't use it, but we don't need to use it to our own detriment. We need to start using words like restructure, or words like manage or managing, or words like coping. I'm going to cope with my life and my habits. Instead of simply saying, I'm going to leave it all in 2023, you're setting yourself up for something unrealistic. Everything can't be left behind, but it can be handled with intentional care. So this gathering tonight, this talk is about handling your life with intentional care. Because the fact is, everything won't disappear with a year change. Let me give you an example. In 2021, going into 2022, I had COVID. I can tell you that it did not disappear because of a year change. COVID came with me into 2022. So what did I have to do? I had to manage my health so that I could get better. Instead of saying, this COVID, I'm leaving this COVID behind in 2023. 2021. Now that could have happened. But what if it didn't? What if it didn't? Then what? So Sunday is the last day of 2023. You can say a whole lot of things, and that's fine because there's power in your words. And hey, we're Bible people. We're Christians. There's power in your word. Say it, say it, say it, say it. And then if and when it doesn't happen, if everything in your life does not completely change to be perfect, you don't have to listen to me now, but make sure that you come back and you listen to this talk. Okay. So everything may just switch, woo for you. Yes. And then I'm so glad that this is recorded because there was another thing, I had said that I wanted to be more healthy, but I did not make an unrealistic goal for myself, to say, well, it's about to be a new year. So I'm going to work out 7 days a week for 30 minutes. I could say that and then I could be realistic. So what I did was I said, I'm going to have meatless Mondays. And guess what? That worked out. See that? So I'm not talking about defeating yourself. I'm talking about being honest with yourself. And those things which, you know yourself better than anybody else, let's just see how we can manage that. Now, again, though, God may change everything for you instantaneously because God is like that. The Bible says, especially in the book of Mark, if you look in the book of Mark, you find the word immediately. It's in there just time and time again. Immediately. So here it is. Even Mark chapter, and I just opened, my Bible is just open. So I'm just looking through Mark right now, and I see the word immediately, just like I said. Okay, so God is able to do things immediately. The Bible says in Mark, 14? That's where I am. I opened the Bible. Mark 14, verse 43. Immediately. So this is not about God doing anything immediately, but it says, and immediately while he yet spake, cometh Judas, one of the 12. So that's an immediately, but that's not really the one I was looking for. See, I told you I just opened the Bible. But there are immediatelys in the Bible as it pertains to the things, and I'm looking at the King James Version, that the Lord did. And when we look at those immediatelys, if that's a word, it shows us and reminds us that God is able to do things quick, fast, and in a hurry if that's what God needs to do. But then at the same time, there are many times in the Bible where it says, wait on the Lord. You know, the Bible talks about being patient and all those kinds of things. And I'm still going through it because I mentioned it, so I want to find one. But if you open your Bible to Mark, there are so many immediatelys, and I'm going to keep looking for one. But my point is that God is able to change your life instantaneously. I'm just saying that if people don't do what you want them to do, if they don't say what you want them to say, if they don't act the way that you want them to act by 2024, just in that 24 hours, then you can always come back here and you can see and listen to some of the things that I'm going to share that will really just help us with managing life and coping with life, so that we don't have to be so disappointed with ourselves and we don't have to be unrealistic. It looks like I'm reading this, doesn't it? I see you, Brother Freeman, saying, yes, God will give you a sudden, immediate change. That's right. God is able. So if you have a Bible in front of you, you can look for immediately in your Bible and you will find it all up and through the book of Mark. So let me move on. So when you know how I am, when I say something, I like to substantiate it. That's the kind of person I am. I guess that's the researcher in me. But you have a Bible. You can look at it. And we've studied the book of Mark together. But God is able to do things immediately. You know that. You've seen that in your life. But again, if it doesn't happen immediately, you can come back to this video. You can log off now and come back. and apply what's needed. So when considering the word managing your life and considering restructuring your life and considering coping with your life, I want to share 5 things that you can do. And you don't have to wait until the new year, okay? That's the beauty of what I'm about to talk about, is that you don't have to wait until the new year. You can start applying these things now so that you will be successful in your life. Part of the problem is we wait until a new year as if that's the only time that we can do a new thing. But if we serve the God of a new thing, we can always implement new things in our lives. So number 1, the first thing is always remember that no one can tell you how you are to feel, how long anything will take for you, or what it will be like for you. Whatever your goal is or whatever it is that you want to happen in your life, don't let other people dictate what that's going to look like. And my goodness, don't let those people start telling you something about like age, race, gender. Don't do that. All right. If you're going to manage your life and be successful anytime, you don't allow other people to dictate your next step. I read something today that even said that trees, you never hear a tree grow. So you don't have to publicize or announce what you're doing or what you're going to do. Just go ahead and do it. Because how many people know that folks will try to tell you how it should be done, when it should be done, or even if you can do it in the first place. So don't take that idea and believe that you have to structure your life around those type of limitations. There was a time when people would always say you have to think outside of the box. What I'm telling you is there is no box. There is no box. So that's why I'm saying the box shouldn't even be a year. You shouldn't even say to yourself, well, after Sunday, I'm going to do this and do that. That's box thinking. Now, you may be thinking outside of the box because you've never done that before. So that's good. But to live in the reality that there is no box is to say that I don't have to wait until 2024. I can start right now. So what things are you thinking about doing that you can go ahead and just do right now and not let people, describe or define what that is and how it should be? What are those things? So that's the first thing. If you're going to manage, cope, and restructure your life, no one can tell you how you are to feel, how long it would take or what it will be like. Number 2, give yourself grace and permission to embrace your journey towards becoming a better version of yourself, okay? And heal in various areas. That's why I lit these candles. If you're just joining, then please make sure you go back to the beginning of this because I named some things that we may need to be healed from, some things that aren't coming back. Some things that we need to lament over, and we can't leave it in 2023 because it's a reality of our life. It's a chapter that we must live out. We did live out and we can't erase it. All right. So then give yourself permission to heal in various areas and again, to embrace the journey toward becoming a better you. My journey looks like thinking about the health, like I mentioned, the Meatless Mondays. So I'm going to give myself grace and give myself permission to just start with a Monday. And I did that on purpose, not only because Meatless Mondays is M&M, but because I often hear people say Monday is like the worst day of the week. So I'm trying to do the opposite of what everybody says. So if I see somebody say something and it becomes like a trend, I try to go in the opposite direction. So that's me embracing my own journey. It's like, okay, this is what people say. What do I say? Because, I have on a shirt that says psychological chain breaker. I have to break my own psychological chains on my mind first before I can start helping other people to break the shackles that are on their minds. So when I identify what those shackles are by reading people's posts, by reading what people say, by looking at videos on social media, by just people watching, when I see and I identify that as a psychological chain, I go against that. So when people say Mondays are the worst day of the week, I make sure I make Monday the best day of the week. See that? And that's how I'm breaking a chain. So I'm not talking about being judgmental to people, but you know exactly what I mean. When they go to the right, I go to the left. When they go to the left, I go to the right. You have to be able to define what your life is. When you open, if we had a dictionary and we went to your picture and your name, what would be the definition? Are other people writing that, or are you writing it? So when you take these things into 2024 with you, don't think of it as a negative thing. Take the loss of hope with you. Take the loss of time with you. Take the loss of job with you. You're going to take it with you anyway. You're not going to stop thinking about it because it's a new year. So what I'm trying to get us to do is think about it, take it with you, and you can manage it by writing your own definition. Okay, I've lost hope. What does that mean? Okay, well, to regain hope, what does that look like? You have to write these things out. And by the time you finish, you will have a book almost that is about you. Not for other people, but for you. See that? So instead of thinking about everything being left behind, take it with you and deal with it. We all have baggage. Just unpack it. What baggage do you just leave there and say, no, I'm not taking that with me? Yes, you are, because your stuff is in it. Your life is a bag with stuff in it. So rather than saying, I'm going to leave some of that stuff, take it with you like you would any bag and deal with it. The problem with adults when they behave like children is because they have not unpacked their bags. But when you start unpacking your bags, you start to see the things that's smelly, that need to be washed. You start to see the things that don't fit anymore. You start to see the things that you're carrying around that maybe you need to, what do we call it? We hand stuff down, give it to somebody else. We start to see things in that bag that maybe we've had for a long time and we can repurpose it. Have you ever heard about that? Repurpose. We just want to throw everything away. No, deal with your stuff. Deal with it. And when you deal with your stuff, you can be a mature adult who can have mature relationships, who can have success on their jobs, in education, whatever it is you want to do. If you're making plans for 2024, some of those plans have to be about you changing, not about you getting that job. Not about you getting in school, not about that relationship. It's about you dealing with your bag. And no matter how many you have, that's okay. You ought to be strong enough to unpack all of those bags. When you go on a really nice vacation, you have to take more bags. Some have to be checked and some come on board with you, right? And then you have to know how to manage those bags. They'll tell you if you have a carry-on, you may have to put one up in the, what is that called? Like the little storage area. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is up there. Okay, so you know what to do with that bag. Then they'll tell you, like if you're a lady, I know for sure because I'm a lady, they'll tell you have to push your purse under the seat. So that's where that bag goes. Then the other bag is checked and it goes under the plane. But never do you say, I'm not going to deal with all my bags. You find a way to manage those bags. And that's all I'm saying about your life. So at the top of this, again, I mentioned some things that we lit a candle for. And it may sound really, really negative, but it's your life. So I'm trying to help us not to run away from life, but to manage, cope, and restructure our lives. So again, give yourself grace. You can do this. Give yourself grace. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're still here and you have work to do and you're able to do it. All right. So give yourself grace. That's number 2. The next thing, number 3, utilize your support systems like faith, family, and community. Sometimes in our lives, we feel so limited in managing things. That's why we just want to leave it. We feel so limited in managing things because we only focus just on family. We don't know how to manage things because we focus just on faith. We don't know how to manage things because we focus just on community. But that's like a triangle. See, you got faith at the top or family at the top or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying all of them count. So you have faith, family, and community. All of those things help to make you a well-rounded individual. But sometimes we focus so much on the one that we're not able to manage. Have you ever met someone who is just so heavenly bound? They're so up in the clouds, they can tell you the weather before you ever feel it. That's how up in the clouds they are. Like it's going to be 25 degrees today because they're so up in the clouds and they're never down here. That's because the faith factor in their life is so huge that they can't even see the things that I mentioned earlier. They can't even see their losses. They don't even embrace their losses. Oh no, that's not the way it is because God. Yes, God should be in everything. And that means that God should also be in your common sense making. God should be wisdom for you. God should be the next step for you. God should be your strength to the point where you can deal with bad things. Because in this life, there will be tribulation. But we should be of good cheer because our Lord has overcome the world. But what about the tribulation? You're not going to deal with the tribulation? That same God told you that too. So you can't let your faith be such a large factor that you neglect. What did I say the other two were? Family and community. Faith is important. But let me tell you something. You better take care of your family. Family is going to be there. Now, maybe not all of them, but family is important. They're going to be there. I remember Bishop Noel Jones, when he was married, he would preach these different things. Well, when he got divorced, one of the things he said was, there were times when he would leave home to go over to that church or go over to that conference or go over to whatever faith community. And he would see his wife's eyes and his children's eyes. He said, and one day he didn't see that anymore. He lost his family. Now his kids are still going to be his kids. I know all that. I'm simply saying that you have to have balance. You have to have balance. So you have your faith, you have your family, and then community. What about community work? Jesus was in the community all the time. So all I'm saying is you must utilize support system of faith, support system of family, and support system of friends and community. It's very important. You matter and you're more than just one thing, and you need more than just one thing. Okay, number 4. If we're going to manage our lives, if we're going to restructure our lives, if we're going to cope with life, we have to keep a basic self-care system in place, like hygiene, eating, exercise, and relationship connections. Now, some people will say, well, Dr. McCoy, you don't need to say that to grown people. What are you talking about? Well, sometimes we don't take good care of ourselves, all right? And sometimes people want to focus on that being just like exercise. And they want to focus on people being overweight and focus on eating and stuff like that. That's part of it. But you can be skinny. If you want to talk about that, you want to talk about obesity, well, let's talk about the other side, all right? You can be skinny and not do well with self-care, basic care system when it comes to your hygiene. You don't go to the doctor like you should. You don't take care of your teeth or brush your teeth like you should. I learned, and you may already know this, but even just basically just brushing your teeth. Do you know if you don't take care of your teeth, it can connect to heart issues? It's not just about having a pretty smile. I know people get caught in those kinds of things. Right now, I'm talking about your health. I'm not really talking about your appearance. I'm talking about the fact that you need to be here. I'm talking about the fact that God needs you. God needs you to do what God has called you to do. But if you don't take care of basic things like brushing your teeth well, find some mouthwash that's ADA approved. And find toothpaste that's ADA approved. Look for that. I always look for that. When it comes to hygiene, I learned of something called Lumi. Have you ever heard of Lumi? This is really the talk. I'm talking to you as if, we're buddies in front of one another. But there's a body cream called Lumi, Lume. They sell it on Amazon. Let me tell you something. If you're like a sweaty person, I guess we all sweat. But when I was a teenager, I was like a smelly teenager. So if you have smelly teenagers, or if you're a smelly person yourself, but you don't want to say that, I'm telling you, you need to get this Lumi. I mean, it's like all over body, cream or whatever. I'm just trying to help you out, okay? And now I'm just trying to help you out. So if you want to leave BO in 2023, get you some Lumi. That stuff is good. And get you some ADA approved, mouthwash, toothpaste, exercise, relationship connections. Stop trying to force yourself on people and be around the folks that want you around. It's okay. If they don't want you, there's always somebody else who does, okay? So it's all right. Stop beating people down on social media because they this, and this. Hey, it's okay. I mean, there are other people. Stop doing that. There are people who would love to spend time with you. There are people who would love to hear from you. And if those people don't want to be bothered with you and they're in your family or something, then go volunteer. You know, there are elderly people at some of those facilities who would love to see you. Go volunteer in the schools. Those young people, they would love for you to come and read a book to them. If you're not a good reader, you don't read well, then find something else to do. Be honest with yourself. Everybody doesn't read well. That's another thing. Be honest with those kinds of things. It's okay. It's okay. And let me say this. If you are a person who goes to Sunday school, and some churches call it church school, and the leader says to you, read, and you know you're not a great reader, don't stop going to Sunday school. All right? Just pull that leader aside and say, you know, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to read in the Sunday school class, but that is not an area that I want to really partake in. I really appreciate being more of a listener. So I would appreciate, you know, if you didn't call on me, because sometimes they call on you and they don't realize that can be traumatizing, because as a kid, the teachers did that and you were relieved when that wasn't going to happen anymore. And now we're doing it in the church. So don't stop Sunday school. Be a grown up. Unpack your bag and have a conversation. Okay? Don't stop going to Sunday school for something like that. How did I even get to that? But I'm just talking about honesty, I suppose. I see you, Brother Friedman. I'm just talking. This is the talk. That's it. Be honest with yourself. Yeah. And do what you need to do to improve yourself. There you go. And we all have weaknesses, you know, and some of them can be a little embarrassing. But, you know, you need to stand up for yourself. You're not that little kid anymore. You see, so you know what your weaknesses are, and you ought to be able to be bold enough to stand and tell somebody, I don't do that. That's not what I do. You know, and if they get offended, then maybe you can teach them in that moment. You know, are there some things that you don't do? You know, some things you don't feel comfortable with? You know, put it on them, and you might help them to be more of a grown up. That's called maturity. It's okay. It doesn't have to be that serious. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Friedman. Okay, number 5, the last thing. Okay, so when I'm thinking about managing my life and reconstructing some things, or restructuring some things and coping, a mental health therapist may serve as a safe space for me to talk or emotionally express what may not be comfortable sharing or showing to others. So I could give that a try. You know, some of the things I'm saying right now, some people wouldn't go live and say. I'm sitting on here talking about deodorant and body odor and ADA approved you know, I mean, you know, some people don't even feel comfortable with that, you know. So I get it. You know, if you're one of those people, it's okay. Just talk to a mental health therapist about some things. You know, there are so many things that I wish that the adults in my life when I was a kid would have talked to me about. Like what I'm saying now, just say it. Somebody needs to, right? I see you, Brother Freeman, saying, good talking, Rev. These things need to be discussed. Well, thank you. And sometimes I don't know where to discuss it, because sometimes, unfortunately, in some of our churches, you know, we really aren't going to talk about things when it comes to sex or body odor or divorce or something like that. Oh, no, we're not going to talk about it. Although people deal with it. What's up with that? And then we put it on the kids as if they're the only ones, you know, who have questions or want to talk about certain things. But I see you, Sister Samantha. The talk is real talk. That's right. So when you see the green background, don't come if you don't want to hear me really talk about some things, okay? So I want to give you 3 scriptures. And I'm so going to go over 30 minutes today. But I want, because this is the last one for the year, and I just have a lot to say. You know, like I say, I people watch, I listen to folks, and I'll never come on here and talk about anybody. I'm talking about me mainly, you know, and I'm just trying to help somebody, because again, there are some things I wish somebody, you know, help me with. And I am a psychological chain breaker, like my shirt says. So, you know, I see you, Brother Freeman. This is what I call preaching and teaching the whole man. There you go. That, yes, because we are what? Spirit, we are physical, we're emotional, and we're mental. So I'm going to do the Bible study thing, but I care about you in the other ways as well. And I certainly care about myself in the other ways, okay? I don't want to just be a good preacher or just a good teacher. I want to be a good daughter. I want to be a good sister. I want to be a good aunt. I want to be a good friend. You know, I want to be a good employee. I want to be a good everything. I want to be the best version of me. You know, I don't want you to just tolerate me in one space. I want to be portable. So that's what this is about. So thank you so much. Oh, I see you, Brother Coleman. You are being the real Dr. McCoy. And I see you, my mom, saying you are a good daughter. Well, thank you. Thank you, Mom. Okay, so 3 scriptures to reflect on. And by the way, I don't always see all of your comments. So I try my best, but just know that sometimes it's delayed or Facebook doesn't show it to me. So I apologize if I don't respond live, but I will always respond in the comment section. So 3 scriptures. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear. This is the Lord talking. For I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That's a promise. So all the things I'm talking about, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to, worry, because God is with you, okay? Even in all of these things. And the second scripture, Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So I lit the candles this evening again for those who are crushed in spirit. And it may sound depressing at first, but the more you listen to me, I'm speaking to the crushed in spirit reality that lies within humanity. But the Lord is saying that the Lord is close to you. And if your heart is broken, the Lord saves you. So just know that's another promise. And then Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. So we light the candles tonight because some of us are weary going into a new year. Some of us are burdened going into a new year. And that doesn't necessarily change from 11:59 on December 31st to 12 midnight on January 1st. So I want you to know I hear you, I feel you, and I understand your reality. I see you, Brother Freeman. I will always remember you. The first day I met you at Mount Peace, you made me feel so special as a psalmist, even though I had to sit and sing because of health issues. Oh, Brother Freeman, God bless you. See, I did not know that you had health issues, but I do remember that you sat when you sang. Look at that. Oh, and you sang so beautifully. I do remember that. But God bless you. The first day you met me, I made you feel special. Well, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Brother Freeman. Yes, my goodness. So, again, these candles are lit as you reflect, on your year, as you lament. And I'm going to put useful links in the chat section for those who are dealing with loss, dealing with grief. And so I'm going to post them in the chat after this gathering. And just know that anytime you feel that you're in a crisis, remember you can call 911. You can reach out to a crisis hotline. You can take yourself to the hospital for assistance. There's no shame in that. I've known people who have taken themselves to the hospital and they have been treated at the behavioral health area. So I'll be sure to post that. But in closing, I want to say this. I want to just say that everything can't be left behind, but you can move forward, all right? Everything can't be left behind, but you can move forward. I'm going to read a poem that you may be familiar with. I love this poem because this mother is being real with her son. And I think that's very important. The poem that you've probably heard before is entitled Mother to Son, and it was written in 1922 by Langston Hughes. This poem, again, is a mother. She's speaking to her son about life. And she says that it ain't been no crystal stair. She says it just like that. She first describes the struggles she has faced, and then she urges her son to continue to move forward. And that's what I want to do for you on this evening. So listen to this. I know some of you have heard it before, but listen to this poem by Langston Hughes entitled Mother to Son. You talk about being real. She says, well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I's been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps cause you finds it's kinder hard. Don't you fall now, for I's still going, honey. I's still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So, my friends, I'm not anybody's mother on tonight, and no one is my son. But again, I tell you, everything can't be left behind, but you can move forward, and you will move forward. You're going to unpack your bags, deal with your stuff, be an adult. And in closing, you're going to say, come on, 2024. Come on. God bless you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me however long you've been. 2023 has been a great year with you. I appreciate you, and I pray that we will continue to move forward in 2024. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to keep on climbing. And we ain't going to sit down because we find it's kind of hard. Because this life ain't no crystal stair. But we serve the God who made the stair. Have a good night. God bless you.